Okay, you may think I'm completely nuts for asking this question. After all, the W700 is an 11.6 inch tablet and the Alienware is a top of the range gaming laptop. And if you're a hardcore gamer, then the answer is fairly simple. No, the W700 isn't a suitable replacement. But for everyday use, actually, it's turned out to not be such a stupid question after all. Now, obviously it depends on what you're going to use it for, and for myself, I'm an amateur photographer, so I use Photoshop, Lightroom, Photomatix and other software like that for photo editing. I'm probably what you call a casual gamer, I guess. I play Lineage 2, which is an MMORPG similar to World of Warcraft, but in my opinion a far better game. And I like to play the odd racing game, F1 2013, Dirt 3, Need for Speed, that sort of thing. So we'll start off with Lineage 2, as I've got that running already in the background here. Already logged in, because I don't want to broadcast my login details over YouTube, obviously. Now, the Alienware will run this at 1920 with everything maxed out, no problem, but it suffers horrendously from hard drive lag. Every time you teleport you have to wait 10 to 15 seconds for everything to settle down, and that's one thing that I don't get on here. But this won't run at 1920 by 1080. It will, but it's a bit on the sluggish side. So I'll go through the graphics options that I've got set here. Now I've actually got it set to 1440 by 900, which is still a really good resolution, and in my opinion on this size screen it's a better resolution anyway. At 1920 the buttons are a bit too small, everything's a bit too small really, and I've not had to compromise really on the graphics settings. The texture's set to high, modelling detail high, motion detail high, effects high, terrain range wide, NPC range very wide, weather effects high. I've not got anti-aliasing on, that does kill it, but I've got shadows on, ground detail on, I've got advanced shader effects on, and I've got detailed character shadows on. So most of these settings there are cranked up to full, and it looks really good. Certainly the frame rate is more than adequate. It's running at about an average of 25 frames a second, which for me is more than playable. You can, if you want to, down the settings a bit further and get 35 to 40 frames a second out of it, I found, but really this is the ideal compromise for me. You get brilliant graphics, it looks really really good, it's perfectly playable, so this is what I've gone for. Now I'll just zip down to Harnack Underground Ruins just so that you can see a little bit of gameplay on here. Teleporting, as I said on this one, much smoother than on the Alienware thanks to the SSD. As soon as you've teleported everything's running smoothly, there's no hard drive lag at all. Really quick screen updates. We just go across to a teleport for the ruins. I mean, at this point on the Alienware I was still suffering horrendous lag all the way down to the ruins in fact, and it would take a good 10 to 15 seconds, maybe more, once I was in the room that I wanted to play in before everything had settled down and I could actually start playing. So in actual fact, although I can't play at the same settings I could on the Alienware, it's actually more playable on the W700 than it was on the Alienware laptop. We'll just go in the room here, kill a couple of bits and pieces off. And as I said, at this point now on the Alienware I'd still be waiting a good little while for everything to settle down. It'd still be very jittery, but as you can see it's running perfectly here. I can scroll around quite smoothly, no problems whatsoever. Now if you're like me, you like to listen to music while you're gaming, well that's not a problem either. If I alt-tab out a second, I've got a piece set up here. This is Avenged Sevenfold Save Me, which we'll put on. go back to our game. This isn't through the speakers, I have to say, it's through my hi-fi. The speakers on the W700 are not suitable for playing music on. But again, everything's still running smoothly. Okay, we turn that down for now. So, playing your average MMORPG, well actually this one I would say isn't your average, because this one, as I said, is particularly hard on the hard drive, and I think that's probably why it's such a difference on the W700. But this will play World of Warcraft no problem if you're into that sort of thing. It will, I would have thought, play Rhizome no problem. I haven't tried it, but I have played Rhizome in the past, and I don't see any reason why that wouldn't run on here perfectly well. So we'll come out of Lineage for now. Now, as I said, the other thing that I do quite a lot on this is video editing. Not video editing, sorry, photo editing. And I've got a photo set up here ready to be edited. I've gone into Photomatics to start with because I've got 3 separate exposures that I want to combine into a high dynamic range image. That's not a problem, it will quite happily do that. It's a little bit slower than the Alienware, but then you'd expect that. This is running a Core i5, the Alienware is running a Core i7, so it is a little bit slower, but it's perfectly adequate for my use. There's your combine image. I'm not going to fiddle around with the settings for now, that looks good enough for the time being, so we'll hit process. And that's reasonably quick. I'll save the image. And exit, and then we'll go into Snapseed, which is a really good program for tweaking photos. Open up our HDR image there. I'll add a drama effect to it. Up the brightness slightly, the saturation, apply that, again fairly quick, save as. Loading and saving is obviously extremely quick thanks to the SSD drive. And there's our final image. And I use Lightroom as well, and Lightroom runs perfectly well on this one. So all around, I would say a particularly impressive piece of kit. Now, hard drive space might be an issue for some. 128 gig is not a great deal, but actually I found that you can get a surprising amount on it. As it came, it had 94 gig available with Windows 8 installed. Now I've installed Lineage 2, which was 23 gigs, so that's taken up a lot of it. But I've also installed Office 2007, Photoshop CS5, Lightroom 4.2, Snapseed, Tiffin DFX filters, a couple other things, a couple of games, Pinball and Heat 7, the racing game. And I've still got half the hard drive space free, 60 gigs, so it's not too bad actually. I've still got space to put Portrait Pro on there, Premiere Pro for my video editing, so a reasonable amount of space. You will probably want an external hard drive though, and I've actually found that the Western Digital 1TB portable drive runs really quick on here. If I had a USB 3 interface, I get a really decent file transfer rate. I wouldn't want to run a program off that if it's going to be accessing the hard drive a lot. It's going to be probably a little bit slow, but for backing everything up and perhaps installing the odd program on there, that would work no problem. As I said, the music on here is not brilliant through the onboard speakers. You probably want Bluetooth speakers for it. And if you're going to be writing DVDs and CDs, obviously you want an external drive, which you can pick up for about 20 quid. So not a great expense there, but when you compare a £700 tablet with a £2,000 gaming laptop, in actual fact, this now is my only PC. I've given my Alienware to my son to use for A-levels and uni, and I'm using this as my sole PC now, and I've been using it for about a week, and it is perfectly adequate for my needs. And obviously you've got the functionality of being able to take it out and about with you in tablet form. One thing I perhaps will mention before I finish is that the old version, if you like, came with a completely separate keyboard that was battery operated. Now this one actually comes with a keyboard that's built into the case. You can't remove it, and it's rechargeable, not battery powered anymore, so that obviously is a big bonus for those who want to carry the keyboard around with them. It's much more convenient, as in it's just in the flap of the cover, and it's not a bad keyboard. It's a slight downside for people like myself perhaps who might want to take a tablet out just on its own without the keyboard, because you can't do that now with this case. But I dare say you could probably buy a separate case if you wanted to without the keyboard, if you just want to take the tablet on its own and use it without the keyboard. But the Acer Iconia W700 then, really impressive piece of kit. The integrated graphics works extremely well. I was really surprised with it, and well worth the money.